You're listening to the Service Design Podcast. I'm David Morgan, Service Designer at Night Moves, and together with my colleague Stina van Hoof, we're bringing you a bonus episode recorded at the Global Service Design Conference organised by the Service Design Network. As we walked around the conference area, we interviewed a mix of speakers, guests and organisers from around the world. We hope you enjoy this small extract from a wonderful conference. So we've just arrived here at the Service Design Conference. People are arriving, they're having coffee. I'm looking forward to get started. What are you looking forward to, Stina?
There are a couple of things I'm looking forward. I'm really interested in the different projects we will hear. So I really hope to see people from different cultures, from different types of design agencies or even other organizations to talk about projects they did and talk about people they met and what was difficult, what was easy in the project. So really learn from experiences. That is what I'm really looking forward.
And you're going to be hosting a workshop yourself, aren't you?
Yes, very excited about that as well. So we're gonna...
What's it about?
We're going to introduce our workshop game, which we designed. It's called Kingdom, and Kingdom is a card game that helps people in organizing better workshops. So it has different cards with different visuals that help people in telling stories about their services, and also it really helps people collaborating on something together. And we're going to try it out here with some service designers. I'm very interested in their feedback.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that workshop too. The thing I'm also really looking forward to is meeting some people in real life. We met some people through the internet, of course, for this podcast. There's Jessie, there's Simone, and we're going to be able to meet them in real life here too. So that's something I'm really looking forward to myself.
Yeah, me too, actually. I'm really excited about that as well. Is there something you would like to know from them?
Well, we talked to Simone a bit about the project she did for the UAE government, and her presentation during this conference is going to be a bit more about that project. So I'm really curious just to hear more about that project, how that went.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, we're going to go around and talk to some of the people that are here at the conference. It seems to be a very diverse bunch of people, so let's see who we run into. So, Stina, we just saw the first round of presentations here at this conference. What did you think?
It was super interesting already. A lot of diversity, I thought, like people from China talking about service design. You see there's differences due to the culture, but still a lot of similarities on what's important. Yeah, very inspiring.
Yeah, I agree. It was really interesting. The Chinese presentation, that was a completely new story to me. It was great to see how they really took Chinese philosophy, a Chinese way of thinking, and transforming service design into their own method.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I also remembered the insight from Spotify that she was approaching people in a different way, like not involving people as stakeholders, but as partners. I really believe in that as well, that, you work together on a project and everyone has a say. I really liked how she approached that.
Yeah, that struck a chord with me as well, because we are guilty of using the word stakeholders, definitely. And I think it's much nicer to think about people as partners. Not
exactly.
Stakeholders.
Yes.
All right, let's go around the room and see what the other people thought of the presentations today.
Yes.
Here we are with Birgit, who we saw give a really interesting presentation just now. Birgit, what struck me very much is how enthusiastic you came across on stage. You've been working in service design for a long time, but it's like you are somebody who freshly discovered service design. Why do you think that is? How do you keep that enthusiasm?
Well, I love what I do, and I see it grow, and I see it differentiate, and I see it grow more mature. And maybe it is a little bit like parents love their children, and you don't lose your enthusiasm for your child once it turns 18, I hope. So maybe it's a little bit like that. Even though I don't like to regard myself as the mother of service design, I think it was a community that gave birth to this. But I was part of this generation of people who brought this to life, and I thoroughly enjoy how it grows and how it gets better and better every time.
Yes. How would you like your, as a mother, maybe a little bit see your child grow? What do you think in the future will happen? Like, a lot is already changing, of course, but...
Well, to say it in a very generalistic way, I would like to see service design to contribute to the quality of life, and that means to reduce ecological problems by reducing the amount of products that we produce and replacing them by services that create value for us. I would like to use service design to create better policies so that governments are in better relationship with their citizens, and that public services really only also meet the poor people and make sure that social equity in our society is achieved. And of course I would like to see service design grow mature to be in the boardrooms. I remember that conference we had in San Francisco, from Scratchbook to Boardrooms. I loved that title, and I think we are still on our journey. And when my child or our child grows old, I would like it to sit in the boardrooms and do business as unusual. So not walk with the crowd, not think like the streamliners, but always make sure to reframe the systems and nudge people to look at things in a different way.
Yes. Great.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Birgit. I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of the conference and see you around.
Thank you.
Hi, Erik. I have a couple of questions for you as a host. You probably know what's going to happen the next day. Is there something you are really looking forward to? Something you really hope it's going to happen on the conference and people are going to be really enthusiastic about?
Wow, that's a good question. We have so many interesting speakers that it's going to be hard to find one recurring theme, right? And to hope for one thing. But in general, what I see in the community is a really great leap in professionalization. Like, we have made so much progress over the last year. I think we've made double the progress as compared to the year before, right? So our growth curve is just exponentially going. And the interesting thing about that is that you see different methods, different tools, different approaches, different sorts of companies applying service design. So a huge increase in adoption. And on the other hand, you see a spreading out. And it is also a spreading thin. Everyone is using a little bit of service design, right? So again, like we discussed in the panel just now, on the one hand you have this deepening of the field, on the one hand you have this broadening of the field, and that's an interesting challenge, and I think most of the speakers see that challenge and are dealing with it in their own way.
Yeah, so it's actually growing in all directions, like different industries, but also it's getting more mature, more professional, and
exactly.
Yes, okay.
And that's really, really great. But we have talks from Google, we have talks from Engine, we have really, really great breakout sessions now from people from the field, sharing their daily practice with us. We have some really great masterclasses and workshops later on. So yeah, it's enough to enjoy. And yeah.
Were you also here the first edition of the Service Design Conference?
I couldn't make it. I almost don't dare to admit it, but I couldn't make it that day. I was part of. I saw it happen, and of course I really wanted to go because by that time I was already practicing service design, but I wasn't there. No.
Okay.
No, I think we had a great start to the day, to the conference. I think we all felt the audience was really captivated through the talks. What did you think of the first talks that you saw this morning?
I think they were really great. It was a really good opening of the conference. I loved Holger because he comes from a pure product background and he talks about service design as the next wave for automotive design. I think it really challenges us to understand this experiential, contextual quality of user experiences and to learn to design those. Birgit really sets the stage for the next level of professionalization, right? We have to really up our ante, and we have to check each other on professionalism and keep the standard very, very high. You know, you're not. It's not enough to make a journey map. That doesn't turn you into a service designer, right? We have to really understand how to infuse the business. Then Katie was great because she talks about keeping it lo-fi and partnering, and she really talks about this infusion of service design into the business, not owning it. It's not a department. It's not something you can do behind closed doors. I really love that vision, and I think we're a bit vain here and there. We should really adapt to the fast speed of Agile and Lean, otherwise we don't play a role. And last but not least, Kathy and Jean, who did a great job in showing us that it's not Europe who's setting the pace, right? It's China. So really, really cool.
Yeah, I also think that was super interesting, like the stories from the other side of the world. And amazing, huh? There are some really big differences in culture, but still the basis, it's about people and it's about the strategy, the culture. That's still
I want to go
the
there.
Same.
I want to work there.
Yeah, I really want to see how they are approaching it and experience it as well.
Yeah,
nice.
Very nice. Good that you're here.
Okay, well, thanks a lot. I'm sure we'll run into you later this conference, and good luck with the rest.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great job. Okay.
So we're standing here with Katie Koch from Spotify. We just saw her give a very interesting presentation. What really struck a chord with us when we were listening to your presentation was talking about being fast, being agile, being lean. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. Which part of it?
How do you see service design working together with agile, lean methodologies?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest challenge that we have, especially in an industry that's sort of on the cutting edge, is being able to move very quickly. And service design, of course, historically, we want to take the time that we need to really understand the problem and take the time we need to make the right artifacts that are clear and concise and elegant. And I think all of those values are still values that I hold. But when we're in an organization that's moving really fast, people are going to keep making things, whether you're there with a vision for them or not. And so by staying low fidelity and bringing the right people into the conversation, we can actually cut a lot of time from our process by getting those questions answered up front and having everybody understand what we're trying to do from the beginning.
How do you manage to not lose the overall overview of a service, because you said you focus on certain parts of a customer journey? How do you make sure that you're still all working on the same experience?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is sort of teaching over time. One part of the equation for me is creating the right frameworks. So even if we don't necessarily have like the heralded artifact, if we're all operating with the same understanding of how the service works, we can all have the same mindset and the same mental model when we're approaching work. And then I think the other part of it too is just getting people together so that you're not working in those silos. Mm-hmm. So when possible, I try to bring in people working on our auto team, for example. You know, they're thinking really deeply about what happens in the car, but it's helpful for them to jump in and maybe do a sketching session with me to understand the problems that I'm tackling in payments. Because even though they're totally different moments in the user experience, they're still connected. Mm-hmm. And so we can start to build up that awareness of what the other one is doing as well.
Okay. Very interesting. Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
Hatem Naggar.
Okay. And where do you work?
I'm a service design director in UN Designs. Originally, it's an architecture firm, and we transformed the firm to be a first provider to service design and product design in Egypt. Actually, we don't have this service or business sector in Egypt, maybe in Middle East. So we have to market lead this sector and be the pioneers.
Okay.
And how is that going? Is that a challenge to get service design sold?
Actually, we just starting 9 months ago, and very challenging because we have a lot of problem in our country. And I think it will be very successful and very efficient if we apply this service and process for design thinking and service design. Yeah.
Yes. And what kind of projects are you working on?
Actually, we're starting with healthcare projects about cancer. We turn on with the doctor working with the philosophy of eating healthy and lifestyle. And how to heal your problem with this lifestyle from eating healthy and green juice, and then we working on the business model for this project.
Cool, very cool. And did you already learn some interesting things today?
Yeah, very interesting, sessions, and actually the most important thing is networking, know more people from all over the world. And that's enough.
Yes.
Yeah, I find on this conference more than on other conferences, people are really eager to get to know each other, to network.
Yeah. It's very successful event. This is my first time to attend the SDN, and this is my first time here in Amsterdam. And very nice city and very lovely people and very kind people, friendly. Everything is my experience here is very good, actually.
Okay,
All right.
great.
Well, I hope your experience stays so great, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome here. Hi. Can I ask you first where you're from? Because your name doesn't sound familiar to me.
I'm from Indonesia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And you?
I came from Japan.
Wow.
Did you guys meet each other here at the conference?
We actually met through the Service Design Network.
Cool.
We met in Tokyo a couple of months ago. So, yeah.
Okay, and how have you been enjoying the conference so far?
It's great. I think it's very diverse. So you don't get inspiration only from a certain sector, but from like many sectors. So it's quite interesting.
Yes. Which sector are you in yourself?
I'm from agency.
Yeah.
I'm running my company in Tokyo, and so I'm promoting service design in Japan, and I got many inspiration to how to promote service design to various people.
And how is it in Tokyo? Is it already popular, service design?
Actually, the word service design is not so popular, but so most of companies are interested in service design thinking, and so there are a lot of manufacturing companies in Japan, so that they are now struggling with how change their business from product to service, and so that many companies are interested in service design way of thinking.
Yeah.
We saw in the presentation this morning that service design in China, for instance, is very different from in the West. How would you say service design is particular in Japan?
Yeah, so we have very similar concepts. So because, actually, so we are service design agencies are localized Western service design concept into Japanese market and culture. But so, as she says, so our way of thinking is not linear. I don't mean so Western is linear, but so Japanese way of thinking is kind of very like systems thinking approach.
Yeah.
So that's so so I'm going to make a Japanese concept of service design.
Yeah, cool. How is it in Indonesia? What do you think the differences are and the biggest challenges in Indonesia for service design?
I think we face similar challenges with applying service design everywhere. It's still in its infancy. It's a very new discipline in Indonesia.
Yeah.
And I guess in terms of differences, the thing is, I wouldn't say that service design in West and East is that different in terms of mindset. It's the same. It's basically creating something based on the needs of the people you're designing for, right? So in terms of mindset, it's different, but the way we translate it, so the more practical stuff, that's where the difference lies.
Okay.
How you ask questions or how you create a certain framework. but all in all, it's pretty much similar in my
all
opinion.
about people, but the people are probably a little bit different in culture and the way you approach each other. Yeah. Cool.
And where do you work?
I work for Pulse Lab Jakarta, so it's actually an innovation lab that was established by the government of Indonesia and the United Nations. So we mostly do data analytics, but we also have recently ventured into the area of service design, but we almost exclusively work with local government to improve their public services. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, guys, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, Kevin, good to run into you again. You were with us at the Kingdom workshop. What are you doing now?
Right now I am giving away biscuits and sweets and chocolates and breath mints and Band-Aids to anyone who passes by as they go into the venue.
Okay.
Excellent.
Did people already need this Band-Aids?
I've given away one Band-Aid today.
Yes?
Yeah,
Okay.
somebody had a sore finger with an old Band-Aid, so I gave them a fresh one.
Okay. And what else have you been doing at the conference so far?
Well, I'm a volunteer, so like you said this morning, I was with you in your workshop with your design game. And other than that, I'm actually now clear for the rest of the conference, so I'm hoping to go and catch the closing keynotes and the last few speeches.
Yeah. And were you already able to see some other talks or workshops?
Yeah, on the first day, the first morning, I was there the whole morning. I was clear, so I got to see the first 3 presentations and the panel.
Yes.
So
What do
really
you think about it?
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the direction of service design and the way that service design itself can be applied across almost every sector. It's really cool.
And, what is there a particular talk you're still looking forward to that's coming up later today?
I think the keynote towards the end. I'm ashamed to say that I've forgotten the speaker, but I remember making a mental note that I should be looking forward to that.
Okay,
right.
cool. And what do you like about being a volunteer here? What is your experience so far?
I'm inherently helpful, is how I describe myself. I just like to make people kind of happy, welcoming, sort of put on a service, practice being nice and polite to somebody. Because in the end of the day, I want to become a service designer one day, so I can just make people more happy. So
yeah, that's a great skill to have as a service designer.
I think important assets for service designers.
Yeah,
okay,
definitely.
Thanks a lot, Kevin, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
We're standing here with one of the volunteers of the conference. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Maya Macbeth, and I'm a volunteer and a graduate from the Glasgow School of Art.
What do you do as a volunteer for the conference?
So I've mainly been helping with the registration, making sure that people have the tickets to the right nights and know where to go. So informing people about what's on.
Did you enjoy that so far?
It's good. It's good fun. There's a lot of opportunities of talking to people, and there's a starting point for conversation. So
yeah,
I enjoyed it a lot, actually.
So you're actually already networking while you're working here?
Yeah, to a certain extent, yes.
Do you get to see any talks or workshops yourself?
Yes. So they're really good at making sure that we don't work too much and also see a lot of the talks. So I went to 2 of the breakout sessions yesterday, which I enjoyed a lot.
Yes. What did you learn from those sessions?
I went to the grassroots one first, which was interesting because for my dissertation, I looked into design in different cultures and whether we should adopt social responsibilities in other countries where we don't know the culture. So it was quite interesting to see projects happening. So there was one in Indonesia and one in Jordan by two Italian guys presenting it with an Italian company. So it was really interesting to see how that is actually taken shape in reality today.
And also in the different cultures. It's where are you from yourself?
I'm half German, half Scottish.
Okay, that's
so
interesting
I have a weird
as well.
accent.
Oh, I think you sound perfectly with your English.
Well, I believe I can express myself, and mostly they say it's charming. I just believe I don't have an accent.
We've been finding the very international aspect of this conference very interesting too, like the presentation we all saw yesterday at the start about the ladies from China. It's been very interesting seeing how service design is applied differently around the world. Do Do you think there's differences even between the countries in Europe in the way service design could be applied?
Well, I'm sort of exploring that at the moment because like my main base has been in the UK up to now. So, but I believe there wasn't that much service design in Germany, which is completely false. But all the big companies that I knew about weren't from Germany. So it's for me really interesting to see that it is actually happening. So I feel I don't have a big enough view of that yet to have a proper opinion on it.
Okay. Thanks a lot, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're walking around outside here in the conference area, and we've run into these guys with a camera set up, interviewing somebody. Could you please tell us what are you doing? Where are you from?
Okay. Hello, my name is Diane Shen. I'm from Taiwan chapter, and next to me is Arthur. He's from Taiwan chapter team as well. And what exactly we are doing here is we are trying to connect Taiwan and Amsterdam and with the global service design community, just to get rid of those time zone issues and location issues, to make them feel a little bit about what's going on here. And as we know, because we have been participating in the service design community for years, and we know that there are a lot of good content here and good people here. And we wish that they can all be here, but it's not possible. So we are trying to bring good people, good discussions, and good debates online, so they can just read about it and listen about it, and they will be interested in joining us maybe a little bit later. That's what I'm doing.
Really interesting. Can we also find your discussions and your other interviews somewhere?
In Chinese.
Oh, it's in Chinese. Okay.
The broadcasting is in English, of course.
Yes.
We wrote a little bit like niblets in Chinese just to get people interested. And actually, this entire idea is initiated by Arthur here, and he's a big fan of those weird gadgets. So, can you share why you started this idea in the very beginning?
Okay. So actually, this is the idea that we call service design lunch. So that means grab a lunch and have a chat, and then we just do live video. So that means the people can physically come together, have lunch chat about service design, but also you can join online virtually with your lunch alone, but you've got some juicy things that in front of your screen. And so that's the idea. And so for this time, we are doing the special edition. Normally that is a lunch time, but right now it's not really lunch time. And also this back to Taiwan is dinner time actually. So that's kind of things. And also we are doing the interview, not chatting. So that's kind of special. But definitely it's just create a content back to Taiwan, so people are interested about service design. They can have access for that.
Wow, that's really interesting. And we have the guy you were interviewing just now here as well. Could you introduce yourself?
I'm the guy that was being interviewed.
And
my name is Jamin Hegeman. I'm the head of design for Capital One's Financial Services Division, and I'm on the management team for the Service Design Network, and I lead the event strategy.
All right. And how have you been enjoying the conference so far?
It's great. I mean, this is my 8th, 9th, whatever we're on right now, conference. So second time in Amsterdam. I've been to all of them, and this is for sure the one that's running the smoothest. I think we hit everything equally well, and hope to repeat it again next year.
Yeah, so both service design as the conference in itself is getting a lot more mature, I'm seeing here.
Yes.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah. They were asking me about the conference theme, business is unusual, and how we came up with that. And part of it is that the maturity, it is definitely maturing, and business is being disrupted. It's not quite business as usual, but it's getting there.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, you guys.
Yeah,
and,
thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your conference.
Yeah, enjoy. Bye.
Hi, we just saw this gentleman coming out from the conference area. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Simon from the Oslo School of Architecture and Design in Oslo.
All right. And what brings you to a service design conference?
I teach service design and I research service design, and I'm head of a few service design projects. And I just wanted to update myself on what's happening in the agency world and the business side of service design.
Oh, wow. Cool. What kind of courses do you teach?
We have a full-time master in service design, and we have some bachelor courses, and we have executive courses, and lots of PhDs at the moment, doing service design PhDs.
How long has this master been around?
Since 2005.
Oh wow, that's
Wow.
already long time.
That's longer than I realized. Yeah.
It's a little hidden oasis in Oslo of service design, but it started as a part-time part of a master course, and now it's a full master course. So anybody out there listening who wants to do a full master, they can come to Oslo.
Where do they find information online?
If you go to the website, which is aho.no, you'll find it.
Okay. What are you taking back from the conference to the university?
Ooh, that's a difficult one. I think what I'm taking back is how service design is becoming infused into organizations, and the alignment within organizations, and how difficult that is, and a question of how far designers should go in terms of developing business models, organizational design, or how they should collaborate with others. It's like how much they do themselves and how much they should do with others.
Is that also something you're already teaching your students, like how to deal with organizations?
We're fighting with it because it's like, if you think of we describe a course as like, if you think of a container, there's 2 years and there's a certain amount of things you can put in. If you put something new in, you've got to take something out. And I'm really keen on keeping the core design competencies there. And maybe it's something that when they're finished, they're ready to learn the next stages, which is maybe the organizational bit, maybe when they start working in organizations.
Cool.
Another theme I think we've seen a bit during this conference is the very international nature of service design, and the fact that service design is practiced differently in different countries. Does your course attract international students?
It's mostly Norwegian students, because they go through the bachelor and then they move on to the master. So we have a throughput that way, and then we have maybe 30% come from abroad. They come in at the master level. We have collaboration through, I think it's called Erasmus, with lots of different schools. So they come through there, and some find their own way specifically to the master course.
Okay. Is there something you would like to see as a change in the service design world, according to what you can do with education?
Well, yeah, actually we've been talking a lot about where is design in the service design, and I think our thoughts are that service design has many ways evolved from service management, the blueprint and the journey thinking, and I think there's still some core design things that are actually missing from service design, and that's what we have a couple of researchers looking at, how design has evolved through history, and there's bits missing in service design, we think.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, we'll see. I'm hoping that we can bring it up in the next SDN conference. I'll try and push for a section on the core design skills in service design.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you so much for your insights.
And with anybody interested in finding a course, go and check them out.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi there. We ran into you during the Kingdom workshop. How did you enjoy the workshop?
Hey, yeah, it was great fun, and I like improving the ways that we can communicate. So this really fills a purpose. I think it's the start of something, and I'm really into storytelling now, and I think that's a great way of working with, to sort of introduce new people to doing journeys together with us.
Okay. And where are you from?
I'm from Sweden. In Stockholm.
Okay, what kind of company do you work for?
I work at Screen Interaction as a service designer there.
Okay.
And what's your name?
My name is Alexander Costa.
Okay.
Could you imagine using a Kingdom yourself in the company you work for?
Yeah, sure. I think we bought a set of cards, and we will definitely bring it in for some inspiration for us. I really like the way of using analogies to explain things, and using imagery to express emotions and talk about activities and such. So I think that's a really interesting area to sort of go into.
Great. I'm curious how you're using it in the agency.
Thanks.
And what were some of the highlights of the conference for you?
I think it's for me it's a great time to reflect, sort of listen in and see how people frame things and talk around things. And we talk about a lot of similar things, but we had different backgrounds and we put our own words on it. So it's really interesting for self-reflection and communication.
Was there something surprising for you, something that you really didn't expect that you heard?
Well, yeah, I think so. Like, I really like to talk about different levels. Like, we would put service design in perspective of systems and culture and stuff. And I think that's really interesting in having that in mind when you work with services also, to sort of see in what level is this sort of problem coming from.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, we saw your talk yesterday about how you applied service design in China and how you adapted it to adjust to your culture. It was really interesting to us and everybody I've spoken to so far. They referenced your talk as one of the highlights of the conference. How are you enjoying the conference so far?
I enjoy a lot. I enjoy the different perspective. Just like what they think I'm fresh from the East angle, I enjoy to learn from the West. Yeah, it's here the practice is way more mature than what we are practicing in China. Yeah.
Is there something you think we as Western companies can learn from the Chinese culture and implementation of service design?
Can learn from our failure practice in the past 5 years. We try to introduce service design, but the C-level people don't buy in. We have to get to use their language and use what they are familiar, like Chinese philosophy, the keywords that matters to their job the most. For example, strategy, leadership, culture, then creativity, and then business result, data. Those things is what the vocabulary in their box, right? So I talk about we can impact your business from those perspectives, and then service design follows. Everyone use journey map. Everyone use co-creation, persona, emotional mapping. Those kind of things we use, but at the beginning we don't introduce as the way from the West. Yeah, so it's just a different angle, but after you gain the trust, then it's up to our professional team to co-create with our client. Yeah. So the project I mentioned was so successful that at the beginning the CEO introduced us to their team. Later we gained so much trust from the bottom up. They love us. And the CEO said, look, now they don't listen to me. They listen to you guys more. So that's really encouraging. So you see the power of changing from the culture rather than from technical service design. When you change that, gain the trust, collaborate with their people, then you can make a bigger change from the organization. Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting conclusion. One thing I also noticed in your presentation, there were the visualizations that were made of some of the journey, some of the concepts. It looked like, there was a real artist involved in visualizing some of those concepts. What kind of a team did you work with to visualize that?
We have 30 people, multinational, very diverse team in Shanghai. That's really a great honor to work with them. For that project particularly, we have urban planner, service designer like her, was heavily involved, researcher, and also a guy is good at prototyping and illustration, drawing. And of course we have also Western service designer from Milan as our full-time employee, so bring a totally fresh perspective. So we introduced the 5R, which is English. So that's a Western angle, and our Chinese CEO love it so much. So it's really a combination. It's a bridge between West and East. that's my theme about bridging East and West in the service design practice. Yeah.
And did you already meet a lot of other service designers in your country?
Not as much. I wish so. I want to hire people from West to China.
Do you think that is interesting to hire people from West, or would it be more? Would you like it more that people from Asia will learn about service design and they will start working? Because I can imagine as a Western, it's quite hard to understand the culture as well.
It's really hard to have that balance. Our company used to have like 10 nationality, speak a very different language, and then we face Chinese client. We find the culture, understanding, and the language is really important. Otherwise, you don't get it. The deeper meaning is not just translator. We have a translator. She's pretty junior. She worked blah 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 to the Western designer, and then they thought they got it, but really not. So there is frustration there. So now we are balancing. Chinese, what the Chinese are good at is. What Western designers they are good at is Chinese complementary of Chinese.
Yeah.
And for example, I find the creativity from the Western designers is really, they have free mind and they think a lot and they're really creative. The video I use is created by our Italian designer in 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm really impressed. I give him the framework and tell him that what's my story, and he come up with how to arrange the whole thing. Everybody seems to like it.
Yeah, it's about putting the people with the right skills from the right culture on the right job. Actually.
Indeed. I want to have more creative people from the West to join us.
That's a very interesting approach, I think.
Yeah.
And what will you be bringing back from the conference back to China?
Today we already produced a WeChat report. She worked really hard yesterday night, and we put it Chinese English is not so good. We have a very comprehensive report, news about this conference. That's number one. And then number two, I learned a lot from the chapter meetings. They have, I can borrow other chapters practice like SDN drink, SDN sharing, and also I just know there is a free channel of SDN members, and those things probably if I don't come, I don't have those information, I will bring it back and think about how to promote SDN better. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Thanks a lot, and thanks again for your wonderful talk yesterday.
I want to highlight that project is unfinished. Service design for the theme park is finished, and the planning is done, and now we are building the park for real. So I'm looking forward to share with your community more about the final result.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
We're very interested in that.
Yeah, we'd be happy to get in touch again.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
So we're here with Thomas. Thomas, what brings you to this conference?
This is for me the annual gathering of I have to say family and friends in a way. I've been with the conference and the Service Design Network since 2009, and this is one of the most amazing events, I think, for many people, just to get together, exchange, share ideas, share knowledge, not just in the presentations, but also in between, in those little moments when you're going out. It's what I like most is probably the fact that it is in contrast to, say, ServDesk, which is a very much academic conference. This is very much practical, which also means if you meet a lot of these people and you become friends and you share war stories, if you will, you're actually sharing real insights and stuff that you usually don't hear. That's not the stuff that you find in the press. It's not only the shiny stuff, the beautiful stuff. It's also like you get to ask a question or two, you make a contact. It's like from live, real projects. It's like, yeah, we've been looking into this. Like, what's your experience with that? And you get tips and tricks.
That's very interesting. You can really go into depth in your conversations with the people here. We're also discussing that this is like the first time in our lives that we met so many people that are doing the same as us. Normally it's always like you have to introduce what you're doing, and the conversations, they stay on a certain level. You cannot really go into depth. Yeah.
We've been talking about this with a couple of people. It was interesting when this started out. Service design was basically talking about tools, methods. I remember we were in Madeira in 2009 discussing how do we actually measure the impact we're having. We're not having those discussions anymore. We have come to a level where it's not just service designers here, but I think most of the people here use the term service design in their everyday work, not necessarily in their title. You have people from many organizations, from different backgrounds, UX people, you have banking people, you have business consultants here, and I think that's what makes it really interesting and engaging, is the diversity you get and the different insights. And also for me, the beauty is you can actually see the work that the Service Design Network has put into this is actually paying off, because it is spreading into different disciplines and into different areas in the market, and it is gaining acceptance, and it is being adopted. And that's very beautiful.
That's great to see. You just told us also that you're in the German chapter, as I understood it well.
I used to run the German chapter for the Service Design Network for a while. Yes. They've been restarted now, and should be very exciting.
Yeah, cool.
You've been to many of the previous service design conferences. Is there anything in particular that really stands out for you in this edition?
Very, very personally, for some reason, it feels like this year everybody's here. So everybody that you have somewhere on your mind is like, yeah, this person I've worked with, and we've met at Servdesk, and this guy we've met at a jam, and for some reason everybody's here this year. Might be the location, might be, I don't know what it is, but this is very fun for me, because you meet so many new friends and so many old friends. It's very great.
And what do you do when you're not at service design conferences?
I run a service design agency in Munich. I teach service design, and
Where do you teach service design?
HFG in Schwäbisch Gmünd, which is near Stuttgart. I teach undergrad course service design and a postgrad course, master's first semester strategic management and master's coaching course.
Hey, that's very interesting. How do you think service design is changing the educational field? Because in Belgium you don't really have service design in the universities yet, I think. Some small courses maybe, but...
The changes in education we're seeing through service design are twofold, I would say. One is we're introducing tools to actually enable young designers, then service designers, to interact with business on a meaningful level. That's the one thing. On the other hand, we are, through that, introducing design into business, because the designers are more attractive to businesses. We're not just pushing pixels anymore, to use a very bad picture of designers, but we're actually demonstrating that we can create meaningful impact for business. We're running very hands-on courses in the university in cooperation with large organizations from very big industries, and there's awards with that, and we actually win a lot of these awards through the approaches we're teaching, which on the one hand is great for the students, and we are primarily the providers for the students, because they're our customer, basically. Yeah. So we're making sure they will have a meaningful job afterwards. But on the other hand, we are demonstrating that the people we're educating and we're putting out onto the market are useful for them. They can create more value. They can create more meaning for the customer as a brand, as a provider of services, as a partner in the problem they're trying to solve.
Yeah.
And does this course only teach German students, or does it attract an international audience?
This is an international course. It is taught in German, but we have students from Korea, we have students from South America in the course, so yeah.
Cool.
And where can people find more information about this course?
It's HFG Schwäbisch Gmünd, and just Google the university.
Yeah, it's in Munich, right?
No, it's in Schwäbisch Gmünd.
Oh, okay. I never heard of that, that
it's
city.
Hochschule für Gestaltung in Schwäbisch Gmünd. That's near Stuttgart.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're standing here next to Sarah Schulman. We saw a really interesting presentation from her about her project Kudos, which was also one of the nominees for the Service Design Awards. Hi Sarah, how are you enjoying the conference so far?
It's always great to get introduced to new case studies and meet new friends.
Yeah, your project was really interesting. Could you just very briefly for our listeners describe the project that you presented yesterday?
Sure. So we're from a social enterprise called Inwithforward, and we embed ourselves inside of social service agencies who are actually delivering services for people living on the margins. And so the work that we did it's an evolving piece of work over 2 years to try and rethink the experience that individuals, adults with a cognitive disability have, and how to prevent them from actually coming in touch with the service system. So how do we build great informal networks of support in the community and enable them to learn and grow and develop over time rather than just stagnate in a disability service. So Kudos is what emerged from a couple of years of embedded ethnography, prototyping, and now implementation. And it's an adult learning platform. And so if you're an adult with a disability, you can log on to the online catalog. You see hundreds of different experiences offered each day by hosts, volunteers who are passionate about everything and anything. And you can now sort of start to stitch together a day that involves being in contact with people that have interests like yours.
I also remember from your talk that your background is in sociology.
Yes.
So you didn't study design. I'm quite interested in that. How do you think your skills as a sociologist can help service design?
Sure. So, yeah, it's true. I feel a bit of an anomaly in a sea of designers. Sociologists are interested in questions about behavior, human behavior. How do humans act in different contexts? And so I think that's something that we share with design. I think we have a lens that perhaps is more critical than designers are, and that's a lens I wish I had seen over the past couple of days. Is there's not a lot of rigor to some of the research that I see here, and not a lot of questions about bias or reflexivity, or are we actually producing services that will do harm for people in their life? Profitability and customer service are one thing, but actually in the area that we work in, social services, it's not that simple, and so we have to ask pretty profound ethical and moral questions. And so I think a sociologist can bring that lens to it, and I hope that there's more voice for that in subsequent years as service design matures.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's also something I remembered from your talk, that it's not enough to discover what your clients or your target group wants, but you have to think about the bigger picture. What do you want to achieve, and what your overall goals are for the world, actually. Yeah,
and actually that requires having a perspective and a set of values that are contestable. Your values might not be my values, but it requires making that explicit. And for many people living on the margins, whether you're homeless or you're suffering from a drug addiction or you have a cognitive disability, you're in a world that's often been designed by others. The system wants you to behave in a certain way. And sometimes the way that folks actually would like to live their life is at odds with how taxpayers and the dominant society believes that they should live their lives. And actually that's a really wicked social challenge. Those are the rubs that we actually have to work with. And it's not simply about designing a nicer service. It's actually like, what's the point of that service?
Yeah, definitely.
And is there anything that you've seen or done during this conference that you will be taking with you back to Kudos that will change the way you work?
Well, there's lots of, so in addition to kudos, one of our ambitions is how do we build the capacity in the social services sector. So it's a sector that's just not very well resourced, that doesn't tend to have money for research and for development. And so we're trying to bring that in. And so there's a lot of examples of where that's been done in the corporate sector or even the public sector. So how can we start to build that infrastructure, endemic teams within nonprofits that can use these methods? So we actually brought 2 of our nonprofit providers here. So like they're in this like weird world of design, and I think they're also feeling more comfortable that this is something that's happening in other sectors. How can we bring it into our sector?
Cool.
Right. Okay. It's really nice getting to have a little chat with you. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we're here in the coffee break with 2 lovely ladies. Could you please introduce yourself to our podcast?
I'm Naoko, working for a design agency in Tokyo. I'm actually not a designer, I'm PR. But every time I come here, I get some inspirations and I feel some differences every year, so I enjoy it.
Okay, great.
My name's Sophie Knight. I'm a design researcher at Standby, which is a design research agency for service innovation in Amsterdam. And it's my first time here at the Service Design Conference. I'm really enjoying it. It's really nice to see everyone else in the field, because I'm also new to the field. So I'm getting lots of tips and inspiration.
Yeah.
What are some of the highlights from the conference so far?
For me, the highlights have been hearing the kind of in-field ethnographic reflections. So there was one about microfinance in Jordan, which I really enjoyed, and also a discussion about redesigning government services in United Arab Emirates, which gave some really interesting cultural insights on how you have to adapt service design thinking for the culture.
Yes. The highlight for me is actually lunch.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
It's so good.
This year is best ever in this conference. So you guys did a good job.
Yeah, it's definitely part of the service of the conference, right? They did that really well.
You've been to the Service Design Conference several times before. How often have you been?
I'm not sure, but I think my first conference was in San Francisco. It may be 2011, so maybe 4th or 5th.
Yes. And what has changed for you over the years?
The mood.
The mood, yes?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
See, every time I'm here, it's getting more happier and happier. The first time I came here, people, I felt people are struggling with how they communicate with business side people. But now I feel they are getting on the same table and talking and discussing each other. So service design people got some confidence in some way. So I feel so.
Yeah, I can imagine that because the field is growing, that people feel more comfortable talking about service design with each other.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
I think
okay. Cool to hear. Yeah, nice.
We just ran into Jesse Grimes again. We're nearing the end of the conference. How has it been going, Jesse?
I think it's actually been fantastic. There's myself and a lot of people have put this on and have been thinking about it for the last 8, maybe 9 months. And to see all that hard work come together and to see 650 people in the same room with the people we spoke to and chose on stage, the theme we developed coming through in their talks, I think that all has really come together fantastically. So it's been a nice experience.
I think everybody we've been speaking to has been overwhelmingly positive about this edition. What do you think is special about this edition? What makes it different from the previous ones?
Well, I guess in logistical terms, purely the size. This is by far the biggest conference we've had. And I think I've mentioned this before, but it's no longer, is service design a discipline? Who are we? Why are we different? I think the stories nowadays are much more, where is the discipline going? What are its challenges? Who can do this work? And what is it like to do that work? Who are people doing this in areas we've never expected it also? So I think it shows the advancement of the field and not no longer the early days when we were a bit uncertain about who we were.
Yeah, we talked to another service designer, and she said what she liked is that everyone is so happy at this conference because they can all share their stories, whereas in the previous conferences people were sometimes even a little bit frustrated because they couldn't really tell people what they were doing because they didn't have the right words, they didn't find the people that were doing exactly the same. But in this conference you really feel like you're here with 600 people that you can just talk to and go into depth on the topic of service design. That's great.
It sounds like a small point, but when we put together the structure for the conference, we made sure not to say, okay, there's going to be an hour for lunch because we want to get people back into the room. We recognize over years that the coffee breaks are important, that the lunch is important. I hope you guys were at the party last night. The party has become really a kind of a tradition for our conference, and some people really, really enjoy it. So the networking aspect is, I think, one of the most valuable things that many people take away.
Yeah.
That came up with a few of these talks already. Service designers are very curious people and really interested in others, and that affects how people interact with each other.
That's right.
All right. Well, the conference is about to continue. Thanks, Jesse, for a great conference, and enjoy the last talks of the day.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks you as well.
Thanks.
The Service Design Podcast was brought to you by the Service Design Network and Night Moves. For more information, previous episodes, or to join the conversation, please visit servicedesignpodcast.com. For more information about the Service Design Network, visit service-design-network.org, and for Night Moves, visit nightmoves.be. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to this podcast. The intro and outro music is from If the Stars Grow Dim Tonight by Hydrogen Sea featuring I Will, I Swear. Until next time.